Today, for the Form 12th Economics, chapter number 4, Poverty, we are continuing this chapter in the frame number 3rd. Today, we will see some of the main important features, characteristics, or indicators. Generally, they have been found in the poor people. So, the topic for today is features, characteristics, indicators of poverty. It's in general who are poor, means it also shows that who are poor people. I have just sorted out 10 main features of characteristics, but it is not mandatory or it is not compulsory that each of the characteristic or feature will be found in the poor. So variation may be there, but these are the general characteristics which are generally found in the poor people, and these indicates who are the poor. Now before starting, I will like to tell one important aspect, that there are two categories of the poor. One is the, as far as Indian conditions are concerned, one is the rural poor and other is the urban poor. See, much of our Indian population reside in the villages and the rural areas, more than 60%. So, rural poor are the poor who are the generally landless people, cultivators, farm laborers, and engaged in other agriculture or non-agriculture related activities. These are the rural poor. And the urban poor are the generally that part of the society that have been migrated from the villages in search of jobs and work and employment opportunities. So these two things we will keep in our mind while we will reading or studying these features or characteristics of the poor. So number one characteristic of the poor, that is the level of income. They earn very low level of income, and that income they earn, that is insufficient generally, or and irregular also, means continuity is not maintained. They may be daily wagers also, they may be the workers self-employed also. So the income level is low, and that too is irregular and insufficient to meet to make both ends meet, means to arrange the food and other important necessities, it is insufficient generally. So level of income, it's very low level of income for the poor people. The income is irregular and insufficient to make both ends meet. This is about the income or earnings. Second point, that is the consumption pattern. See, in any of the country or any of the developing country, and we are mainly concerned here with the Indian conditions. So first priority the poor people give on the food. So if he or she is able to satisfy the hunger, that is the most important task of anyone. So as far as the consumption pattern is concerned, much part of the income or earning they spend on the consumption expenditure. Means almost whatever they earn in a day, they spend on the consumption expenditure like food, eatables, and other very much necessary items. So there is very less saving, or we can say in other words, there is no savings with the poor people. So it's an economic point of view, we see the consumption pattern, much part of the earnings or income are spent on the consumption expenditure, and negligible saving, means no saving at all or very less saving is there with the poor people. And third point, which is very important, that vulnerability to risk. It is very important point. See, the poor people, they are always in search of work, and whenever they get work, the risk factor is very high. They have to work in very dangerous situations, hazardous situations, and sometimes the situations are life threatening also. If they are working in the factories, the temperature of the furnaces are very high, especially iron and steel factories. The fumes, smoke, and chemicals, so these makes very hazardous and dangerous situations and conditions at the workplace where the poor people work. Sometimes they have to work at a very high place. If you see the people, they are painting or cleaning the glasses of the very huge buildings, multi-story buildings. All these are quite risky. So vulnerability to risk means high risk and dangerous, hazardous situation and conditions of working. So poor are generally engaged in life-threatening jobs, work in risky and hazardous conditions. If you see the factories and industries, there is high heat, smoke, dust particle, especially if they are working in any cement factory, there is a problem of lungs, asthma and all these things. So very high heat, smoke, dust particle generating in the factories and industries. So the risk factor is very high for the poor people to earn their livelihood. Then fourth one is the hunger and starvation. See, the hunger and starvation having slightly difference. Starvation is, we can say, the prolonged hunger. But generally, if the poor people, they do not have any guarantee that they will get the 2 times meals or not. So generally, poor people and children, they are hungry and they are facing the problems of the malnutrition. And if they get the food, it is not very much guaranteed that it is very good food. So sometimes they have to intake the contaminated food also, and this also gives birth to the diseases like diarrhea type. Okay, so hunger and starvation is a basic and important feature of the poor people or poverty due to less purchasing power. It is also one important point that because the income is low, so purchasing power is also low. Due to less purchasing power, the poor generally suffer from hunger and starvation. Starvation means prolonged hunger. They are much prone to diseases due to malnutrition and contaminated food like diarrhea, etc., and other food deficiency related issues. This is fourth point is very important. It's a very important feature, hunger and starvation. So you need to keep this thing in your mind. So beside this, we are coming to the fifth point. Safe and clean drinking water. There is generally not access to the safe and clean drinking water to the poor people. They have to use whatever the water sources available to them in their nearby vicinity, but it is very important thing because they also suffer from the waterborne diseases because of this problem. So safe and clean drinking water, it is not easy for the poor to access safe and clean drinking water. Generally water comes in our tap from the departments of the government, that is chlorinated water. It is pure clean drinking water, but they are deprived of this clean drinking water. They generally suffer from waterborne diseases because the intake of the water is not good quality wise. So there are much chances for the waterborne diseases to the poor people. And here I also read in one point, this is even not access to the electricity. So electricity nowadays very important element. So they are even not having the access to the electricity also.